Spider-Man. The fall into darkness. Peter Parker was on edge. The city was relentless, throwing one crisis after another at him. Between balancing his job at the Daily Bugle, his relationship with Mary Jane, and the increasing intensity of his crime fighting, Peter was mentally and physically exhausted. The weight of responsibility had become unbearable. One night, after narrowly escaping death during a battle with the Sinister Six, Peter found something strange. A meteorite that had crashed in Central Park. Inside it, a mysterious black substance began creeping toward him. Before he could react, it latched onto him, merging with his Spider-Man suit. At first, Peter was fascinated by the new suit's abilities. He no longer needed his web shooters, and his strength and speed were amplified. He could sense everything around him with heightened clarity. The suit moved like an extension of his own body, obeying his every thought. It felt good. Too good. Days passed, and Peter realized that the suit was more than just a powerful tool. It started affecting his mind. He grew more aggressive, his fights more brutal. Criminals who once received mercy from him were now left broken, both physically and emotionally. Spider-Man was becoming something darker. His aggression bled into his personal life. Peter began snapping at Aunt May, pushing Mary Jane away. The black suit fed on his frustrations, urging him to unleash his anger. The more he wore it, the more he craved the power it gave him. Then came the night everything changed. Chasing down a gang of armed robbers, Spider-Man didn't just stop them. He annihilated them. The final robber, cornered on a rooftop, begged for mercy. In that moment, Peter hesitated, but the suit whispered in his mind. It reminded him of all the criminals who had escaped justice, all the lives lost because he wasn't tough enough. Without a second thought, Peter let the man fall to his death. That night, Peter Parker died in a way. The black suit took over, warping his sense of right and wrong. He began to see his role as something more than just a hero. He was a judge, jury, and executioner. The streets of New York ran red. As Spider-Man crossed lines he swore he never would. The city began to fear him. Once celebrated as a hero, Spider-Man's name was now whispered in fear. J. Jonah Jameson's relentless campaign against him was no longer dismissed by the public. Even Peter's allies grew concerned. Daredevil, Black Cat, and others tried to reach out, but Peter was unreachable, lost in the symbiote's control. It wasn't long before Eddie Brock, a disgraced journalist, crossed paths with the symbiote. Enraged by Peter's rejection of the suit, the symbiote bonded with Eddie, creating Venom. Now, Peter wasn't just fighting criminals. He was fighting a version of himself, one driven by vengeance. The battles between Spider-Man and Venom tore through the city, their conflict escalating with each encounter. In his arrogance, Peter believed he could control the symbiote, but the lines between Peter Parker and the monstrous Spider-Man continued to blur. Venom, fueled by hatred, represented everything Peter feared he had become. In one final confrontation, Venom cornered Peter on the rooftop where it all began. Mary Jane, desperate to save Peter, arrived just in time. "This isn't you," she pleaded. "Peter, I know you're still in there." For a brief moment Peter hesitated. The symbiote screeched, urging him to finish Venom, to embrace the darkness fully. But as Peter looked into Mary Jane's eyes, the reality of what he had become hit him. He had lost himself. The symbiote wasn't just a suit. It was a parasite, feeding on his darkest emotions. With every ounce of strength left in him, Peter ripped the symbiote from his body, the alien shrieking as it fought to maintain control. He collapsed, drained and broken, as the symbiote slithered away into the shadows, leaving Peter behind. But the damage was done. Peter Parker would never be the same. He had tasted power, embraced it, and let it corrupt him. Now he had to live with the consequences of the lives he had destroyed, knowing that the monster inside him was still there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for a chance to return.